Would you all please stand for the posting of the colors?
Detail. Hold. Eyes. Heat. Hold. Color. Present. Hunt.
Will you join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Amen.
Order. Hunt. Detail. Eyes. Heat. Forward. Hunt.
You may be seated. Thank you for joining us this morning as we welcome a new member to the EGPD family with the swearing in of Assistant Police Chief Bobby Davis. We'd like to take a moment to recognize some of the dignitaries that are with us this morning. From the City of Elk Grove, Mayor Steve Lee. Vice Mayor Steve Detrick. Councilmember Stephanie Wynn. City Manager Jason Behrman. Assemblyman Jim Cooper. Sacramento Sheriff Scott Jones. Sacramento Police Chief Daniel Hahn. Folsom Police Chief Rick Hillman. Gulf Police Chief Todd Sockman. City of Rancho Cordova's Chief of Police Chris Pittman. Former Sheriff Lou Blanis. Former Chief of Police Bob Simmons. Also former Chief of Police Brian Nobley. I'd like to also recognize our Chiefs Advisory Board members that are here with us today. Todd Bloomstein. Pastor Lance Lewis. Manny Provador. Shirley Lewis. And Sheldon Fields. And with that, I would like to invite Chaplain Mindy Russell for the invocation.
Good morning. It's an honor to be here to provide the invocation. So would you bow your heads with me? Almighty God, we praise you for your goodness to our nation, giving us far beyond what we deserve. Yet we know that not all is right with America, so we sincerely need a moral and spiritual renewal to help us meet the many problems we face. Set our feet on the path to your righteousness. We pray for our nation's leaders, state leaders, and now the new Assistant Chief for the Elk Grove Police Department. It is a noble task, a task that others expect. He will be above reproach, self-controlled, respectable, hospitable, and able to teach, and is approachable. Give him the wisdom to guide him through this important department with boldness. Grant him the opportunities to apply his experience and knowledge to accomplish this department's important mission. And as a respected man of integrity, let him lead with confidence, but most importantly, grant him insight and discernment in serving the people of the Elk Grove community. Protect all the personnel of Elk Grove Police Department and their families with your divine safety and presence. And of this we pray. Amen. God bless you.
Thank you, Chaplain Mindy. And with that, I invite Chief Tim Alter.
Well, good morning, everybody. How are we? Thank you for the response. I appreciate that. Before we go any further, and we always forget to do this, but would you join me in a round of applause and thank you for our honor guard? And I know all of our honor guards who It's an exciting day for our organization, and certainly an exciting day for this community. And Bobby, you're going to come up here in a few moments. And as you approach the podium, I would just ask that you pause and look out into this crowd. And you're going to see your SSO family who has shown up in droves to support you. You're going to see a wonderful Elk Grove community that's here to welcome you and support you. And you're going to see the Elk Grove family that's here in droves to support you and welcome you into our family. I would just ask that as you approach it, you just take a moment to soak that in. And as somebody who came from the Sheriff's Department as my prior organization, I know the amount of emotion that's a part of that. Soak that in. That's a good thing. There are a number of people here who have shaped both your career and my career. And I'm so thankful that you would all show up today to support Bobby. I want to give you just a brief background on the process, how we got to the fact that we chose Bobby for our Assistant Chief of Police. And I got to tell you, this was no easy task. Well, it was a little easier for me because I wasn't on the other end of it. But as I understand through Bobby, it was an incredibly difficult task. And for those that know, I went through this about 6 months ago, so I blank that out of my memory, but I do recall the difficulty that was a part of that. This was about a 6-month process from start until today, and that was a long 6 months, especially for those who were on the other end waiting to hear the results. There were 25 applicants from across the United States, and I mean across the United States. We had probably 10 or 12 that were outside of California. It was an incredibly competitive process. But Bobby shined in that, and he made it to the final 5, which presented here in Elk Grove for a multi-panel day. And I think that was probably about a 5 or 6 hour day for Bobby. I think he still holds that against me. We're going to blame the recruiter. But nonetheless, Bobby presented to 3 separate panels. A community panel made up of our community members from business, education, my Chief's Advisory Board, a really broad cross-section of our community. The other panel was that of police chiefs, and our third panel was an internal panel, the leadership that's a part of the city of Elk Grove, and the labor panel, the 2 labor organizations that make up our ranks. And in every single one of those panels, overwhelmingly, Bobby was the #1 choice. He rose to the top. Not only did he beat out the 25 that applied, but he beat up the 5 that showed up. I said beat up. He did beat up the 5 that showed. The following day, City Manager Mr. Behrman and I had the opportunity to interview Bobby. And Bobby probably thought if he made it through day 1 that he was home free. And that wasn't the case, because he had to sit in my office with Mr. Behrman and I think we spent about an hour and a half in some deep conversation as to whether or not this was a good fit for Bobby and whether Bobby was a good fit for us. And as Mr. Behrman and I had conversation shortly after Bobby leaving my office, it became very clear that Bobby was the right choice. And in fact, he made our decision incredibly easy. And for that, I'm deeply appreciative. I wanted to read a couple of things as I went through the panels and read what they actually wrote. And then some of them told me during the interview process as I would arrive and obtain feedback what they thought of our various candidates. The one that stuck out with me is that I think it was the internal panel that said, we're not going to talk to you about any other candidates, only one. And that one was Bobby. And they said there's only one choice, it's Bobby. The other feedback was that he was open, honest, transparent, and genuine. He's the perfect choice, no question. He's passionate, involved, understands community, and he's the full package. You've heard me say Bobby here at the podium, and for my SSO family, you know that Bobby goes by a couple of names, maybe more than that. We will talk about them all, but I'm going to talk about two of them, and that's RL and Bobby. For I spent my first 14 years with the Sheriff's Department, and I knew Bobby for 24, well, I've known Bobby for 24 years, but knew him a part of that time. But I knew him as RL. And those who were on the outside of Bobby knew him as RL. So when he applied, I knew that it was RL who was applying. And I'm going to get back to that in a moment because those in the close circle, and I don't mean that as an exclusive comment, but in his close circle referred to him as Bobby, and still do. I'm going to come back to that. What I knew of RL coming into this process is that he was a great leader. He was well respected and incredibly competent. What I know here today, 6 months later, and having spent an enormous amount of time getting into not just the brain of that man, but the heart of that man, is that he's all of those things. But he also possesses scrupulous integrity. He's a visionary leader. He's humble. He's deeply passionate. He cares deeply about people. And he's well balanced. All those things that I'm looking for as a part of our team. You know, they say in leadership, you surround yourself with those complementary characteristics. You don't want somebody that is exactly like you. And I strived for that, but I failed. I must let my organization know I failed in one area that I found out, and that is perfectionism. Some might call it OCD. And for those who know me within the organization, you know how I'm oriented in that way. Well, I thought I would choose somebody who was not oriented in that way, but unfortunately, I found somebody who's far worse than I. Am I correct, family? Yeah. I got to tell you a quick story about alterations. Alterations, that's a strange topic. But as Bobby began preparing his uniforms for today, he asked if it was okay to prepare his Class A as he's always done. As his FTO taught him 24 years ago to never put his hands in his pockets, he's carried that on. And he asked me, can I take the pockets out of my pants? I thought, well, I don't know that we've ever seen that before. And as he sits here today, as he stands here in a moment, you'll notice that not only did he remove the pockets from his pants, but he sewed them shut. Why? Because he's a man of principle. You don't put your hands in your pockets. Not only is it an officer safety issue, as we all learned in the academy, some of us a long, long time ago, but it's also unprofessional. So I knew then that I had my work cut out for me as it relates to another perfectionist on the team. And again, my sincerest apologies to the Elk Grove staff. In fact, I was told that he has a t-shirt that reflects his level of OCD, except that it doesn't say OCD, it says CDO, because the letters are out of order in OCD, and he wanted to put them in the correct order. So I want to circle back to the RL versus Bobby statement that I led with. When I asked Bobby, as he began, what do you want to be known as in a name? Do you want to be RL? Do you want to be Robert? Do you want to be Bobby? What do you want to be? This is an opportunity with a brand new staff to be known in a way that is comfortable for you. And here's what he told me, which is, I think, is the measure of a man. He said, this is a small organization and I want to be a part of this family more than anything at this point. And people that are close to me call me Bobby. I want this community and I want this organization to call me Bobby and not RL. And I thought that was incredibly meaningful, and I appreciate that. Your heart's in the right place. I know this. I want to talk very briefly, professionally, about Bobby. And from here on out, I'm going to call him Bobby, if that's okay with you. When I asked him about, one of those things that you're most proud of, in fact, it was Mr. Barron and I, what are you most proud of in your career? And there were so many things, of course, like we would all be proud of. But a couple of things came to mind for him. Most memorable for him, for those that don't know, his dad, RL, I'm going to call him RL, or Mr. Davis. RL is a retired Sacramento Police Department sergeant. And as a part of his walk, he had an opportunity to engage in the East Area rapist investigation. And fast forward 23 years, Bobby's overseeing the centralized investigations for the Sacramento Sheriff's Office. And as a part of that, was overseeing the investigation of the East Area rapist. And as that all came to culmination, Bobby said one of the proudest moments for me was calling my dad and have a conversation with him about, well, he probably didn't want me to share this, but I will. That he consulted with him on some of the old reports and getting context to the current investigation. And then he said when the news broke and they had their suspect identified in this case, one of the first calls he made was to his dad. And that he looks back on that as one of the fondest memories of completing the circle, if you will. What his dad started as an investigative officer with the Sacramento Police Department, he was able to finish. Now, Bobby would never take credit for any of the investigation or any of the results in that, but by virtue of his involvement in that, he played a significant role, and that leadership came to be. I asked him what else is important to you, and he said legacy. My legacy that I would leave behind is caring for people. And if you ask anybody, it's about people. It's about relationships. It's about what I've done in the organization to grow people. And I think that the Sacramento Sheriff's folks who are in the room would absolutely agree with that. Bobby is a people person. And not only that, he coaches and mentors and builds people to take on the next rank, to take on the next responsibility, and do so with grace and humility and passion. Bob and Kathy are Bobby's parents. They're here today. And as I talked with Bobby ad nauseum over the past 2 months or so, I really wanted to get to know more about Bobby the person. I think I knew about him professionally, but I want to know about the person. His 3 sons are here, Wesley, Jordan, Gavin. One of them thinks he's more handsome than anybody else. I won't say which one that is. One's the brains behind the operation. The other is, well, you'll hear from them in a minute. But as I talked to Bobby about his 3 sons and the impact of his parents on his life, he beamed with pride. And to know somebody's heart and know how they're connected to family and how critically important that is to him being here today, to the trajectory of his career, means an enormous amount. We can get him there professionally, he's already there, but I can't build the heart, and Bobby has the heart. So without further ado, I would ask for Bobby and his family to join me on stage as we pin Bobby and we administer the oath. So Bobby, family. Now you see why we had the epaulet stars already pinned on, right? We've been here a lot longer. That's good stuff. So I'm going to administer the oath. If you would join me, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that you take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which you are about to enter. Congratulations.
Okay, so just sit back and get comfortable. For those of you who don't know, I don't mind talking. Just want to say a few things. I think, I am a very emotional person, so you have to give me just a second. Whew. The process, like the chief was saying, was absolutely incredible. I think you go through your entire career doing different things, different experiences, and you think, oh, I can pretty much walk through fire and anything you want, but when you sit in front of those panels and you're not sure what they're thinking because they're looking at you like, is that all you have to say? Is all you have to offer for me? You start to wonder. And that was quite the process, of which I'm very proud that I was able to complete it. So let me just get to a few things and then I'll kind of get to the end. So I just want to say thank you for being here. I think it's extremely important that we represent who we are and what we do in this profession. And I've tried to do that my entire career. And I think that relationships are a part of that. And building and wanting to be part of something bigger than yourself, although it sounds cliche, it's something that who we are and what we are. And that's why this room is full of people that are here. We truly do this because it's something that we are called to do, and something that we believe in, and something that we want to do. Be a part of that for 24 years is something that 24 years ago I could say I didn't think that I would be standing here, because it felt like it happened yesterday. I was in the academy back in 1995, and all I was thinking about was making it to the next day. Not standing in front of a group of people who mean a lot to me and are celebrating with me the next step, next journey in my career. So I can't thank you enough. To the people of the city of Elk Grove, the city leaders, thank you for letting me be a part of it. To give me an opportunity to come here is extremely a blessing, and I am humbled by the idea that I have an opportunity to come work in a city that is growing and full of pride and full of integrity, and honestly, full of people who are so diverse, and they expect that from us. To be diverse in our thinking, diverse in how we approach policing, and just diverse in every way. I think that's very important, and it speaks a lot to the city and the city leaders. Thank you. Community. It's all about community, because we don't have a job without our community. And the reality is that we are community. We come from our community. And the idea is that we should be working with them. And everybody that's associated with what we do as a profession, what we do when we raise our kids, when we take and support each other, it's all of our community. And that's what we are supposed to be embracing and working with, to make sure that not only we are better ourselves, but we're safe in the streets in our communities because we work together. And that's extremely important to me, and that's everything that I'm seeing in the city of Elk Grove. Being part of this process, I have felt more involved and included, and I just really started yesterday on the books, but I feel like I've already been part of this family. I went to the crap feed a few weeks ago here, and it was like everybody already knew who I was, and it was really strange because I didn't know everybody, but they all knew who I was. And that speaks to who you are in this community. Everybody cares, everybody talks, everybody's aware of what's happening. And I am going to embrace that. To my sheriff's family, what do you say, right? 24 and a half years. It's been a good run.
It's been a good run. But it's over. Time for me to move to a new family. I'll never forget my family, but I have an opportunity now to become part of another family. A group of women and men who are in the right place at the right time in my life and in my career. And as much as I'm going to miss you, I'm not going that far. Let's be real, right? I'm still here. I'm still going to talk to you. I'm still going to be doing the things that we've always done. But I am going to miss you because this is where I grew up. And the emotions are from my heart. And I hope you all feel the same way about yourselves and your own careers, but about the relationships that we've had. That's very important. And I think that the way we were raised, and you talk to anybody in our academy, from the very first day, what do they tell you? Right? Family. And that's what it is. Support each other, love each other, take care of each other. Or most importantly, take care of yourselves. If you're healthy at home and you're successful in your home life and who you are as a human, you're going to treat the community the right way. So keep doing what you do. He's not here today, but Sheriff Craig hired me. And for those who knew him, he was a really good man. He was the person who brought me into the organization that I'm leading, and he was a really good man, and he is not here. But I felt I had to at least mention him. In addition to that, Sheriff Glennis, who is here, I don't know where he's at right now, but there he is. If anybody had an opportunity to work for him, you knew he cared about people. He always made me feel like I was one of his kids. Anything that had to do with me or my family, he knew about. I've never had a conversation with him where he didn't ask me, if not one of the first two questions, it was the third, and that's how's your family and how's your parents? I use some of that in who I am and what I am, and I think that's extremely important for all of us to not forget who we are. We're law enforcement, and we have a profession that can be a little uptight sometimes. We're type A people. But the reality is, don't forget who's around you, and that's part of taking care of yourselves and the people that you work with. Remember that part of who we are. Because before we started the job, right, we were just like everybody else, and we still are. Don't forget your compass. Don't forget where you are. Thank you, Sheriff, for that. Sheriff McGinnis also is not here, but he also played a role, giving me an opportunity to move up into management. And I had an opportunity to work with him closely as a PIO, where I learned a lot about him. I learned that when he said he wishes he was a street cop, as he moved up in his career, I think all of us as managers, as we move up in our career, sometimes we go, man, I wish I could just push that, yes, I'm going en route to that call, and at the end of the day, I'm all done. And it was funny to have him say that, but I understood it as we got further along in my career. Last but not least, Sheriff Jones, thank you. Thank you. You have, and I called you, the emotion that I have when I called you. The opportunity you guys have given me an opportunity to expand who I am personally and professionally, not just here at our SSD family, but now in my Oak Grove family. And I can't thank you enough for those opportunities. And like I said, I was emotional when I called you. And you probably thought, what the heck's wrong with him, right? But it was the wave of emotion, the process of, leaving something and starting something. And I think that was why I was so emotional. But much of it had to do with the fact that I know I'm appreciative of where I've come from. Because I know to be successful where I'm going, I have to acknowledge where I've been. And that's what I was doing, so thank you. These darn iPhones, I can't get my screen to pull up. For those of you who don't know, I'm an Android person, or I was an Android person, but I had a request from somebody who's significant that asked me to get an Apple. Not a fan. Not a fan. Real quick, just some of the positions that I've had, the opportunities that I've had with some of the people. Lisa Gaiman and Santos and Chet. So many people have been part of who I am and what I am, and how I've become the leader that I am. Building those relationships and creating that positive environment, no matter what the situation. People have heard me say this before, but I can fix almost anything. I really can. There's nothing that we can't fix, as long as it doesn't have something to do with being immoral or inappropriate. I can almost fix everything or criminal. And that's because I have and believe in relationships. I believe in creating something that is bigger than who we are as we sit in that moment, in that time, whatever it might be. And that's something I'm going to bring to our department. I'm going to bring that with vigor. I'm going to be excited and ready to do that. Ready to have those conversations that are difficult, because those are important. Probably the most important thing that you can have. Start the conversation. If it's a difficult one, start it, because the other people know it's coming. Have it. Be proud of who you are. Have that integrity to do those things. Think outside your box. And embrace those things that can be difficult. Sheriff's office taught me that. Community. What that means to me, it's trust and it's ownership. It's owning who I am and who we are as an organization and as a profession, and doing the right thing and doing it the right way. Believe in who we are as our community, and I promise you that I will always believe in who we are as a community. I will always communicate that with you and to you. Have a commitment to each other. Chief Albright has had a significant commitment to me in the last 6 months, if you will, but really the last 2 months. And understanding why this was the right fit, why this is the perfect spot for me to go. Compassion, collaboration, leadership, excellent communication. To do the things that he has done and given to me in the last 2 months are things that I will embrace for the rest of my entire life, because of how you communicate those things to me, and you've involved me in those things that are important, and express what you wanted. And that, to me, is significant as far as being a leader and how you communicate, so thank you. Openness, understanding, and collaboration. I will bring all those things with me. All I ask is that you give them back to me, give me that chance. Talk to me about anything that you want and everything that you feel you should talk to me about. My door is open. It is not closed, will not be closed. I want people to come in and be comfortable talking to me. And when I say, and I've said it to the people I work with, my name is Bobby Davis. My name is not captain, my name is not lieutenant, it's not sergeant. I will never introduce myself as chief or assistant chief Bobby Davis. My name is Bobby Davis. There's a time and a place for those things. But when we're talking one-on-one and you really want to get to the meat and bones and potatoes of who we are, talk to me. Because I promise you we'll be successful together if we talk to each other. Legacy, what does that look like? Well, we know what the sheriff's legacy is, right? And you ask anybody, it's about our family, it's about who we are, it's about what we've done. Well, now, with the police department, it's going to be about what we and I can be a part of, what we're going to do, what's going to come in behind us, how we set the stage for the success of not just the organization, but for the people in our community. We're the lifeblood. And when we leave our station, we're the oxygen that fills the streets to make sure that all of our community is safe, all of our community can go out and enjoy themselves, be prosperous in who they are, feel comfortable in who they are, where they are, and trust in us that we're going to do the things that we're supposed to do as an organization. My family. So my story doesn't really start, 24 years ago. It started 50 years ago with my parents being married for 50 years this year. I say that for the end because I didn't actually think I was going to get to that point without being upset, or not upset, but being too emotional, but I got there. My story does start there with my folks, though, and I think that I'm here because of you, and I think that when you consider what you've gone through in your lives, to do what you've done, getting married in 1969, early, surviving those years, bringing us up the way we're supposed to be brought up, raising our families the way we're supposed to raise our families. My compass is from you, and I'll never be able to properly pay it back. What I will do is pay it forward. I will pay it forward. I will make sure that people that I touch, are loved, and they're able to be successful. Like, you've given me all the tools to be successful, and I will never be able to thank you enough. To my friends and family, I love you all very, very much. To those of you who believed in me, thank you. When I didn't always necessarily believe in myself, thank you. And Pops, a winner never quits and a quitter never wins. Remember that. That goes for everybody. That's just something my dad would tell me as I was running down the track saying, I can't beat him. A winner never quits and a quitter never wins. Remember that. And we never lose. In this profession, we never lose. And if we don't lose, our community doesn't lose. To my Elk Grove Police Department family, thank you for accepting me. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity. Your reputation speaks for itself. I told a story when I was in the process with the chief, and I relayed to him that I would come out of the hall. Once I started this process, I would come out of my office at the courthouse, and I would watch the interaction with the Elk Grove Police Department. Truly watch them. They had no idea. This is a dude, and they're watching me talk to people. And I would watch how the young officers interacted with the people in the hallways of the court. Because I wanted to know. I think it speaks to who we are and how we lead them by how they treat the other people that they're around. Not only were they professional, they were willing to communicate and talk to the people. And these are young officers, willing to talk to the people that were in the courthouse, whether they were the attorneys, the public, and often cases in the courthouse, land are used to this, the bums that come in, because they need to use our facilities. But moreover, how they respected and spoke with each other. It was a wonderful thing to see. Clearly, the legacy has already been started. Who they're going to be and what this organization is going to be is evident. And that's something that I'm wanting to be part of, and I'm very proud to have the opportunity to be part of that. Chief Albright, thank you. Thank you for the communication. You know how I am, I'm emotional, and the opportunity that you've given me is something that I will probably never be able to completely repay, but I'm going to make sure you can have a break. If that's one way I can repay it, I will. I will be there for you, and I appreciate what you've already given me, how you've communicated to me and with me, and you brought me into this round, and that means a lot. And I'm a very loyal person, so thank you. Again, I could say a lot more probably, but I don't need to. I just want to say, finally, a thank you to everybody here. People who showed up, everybody in this room means so much to me. It is a privilege to have been part of the Sheriff's Office for 24 years. It means a lot that you showed up, that you came. But just as important, my new family, thank you. And thank you for accepting me, taking care of me over and over and over the last couple of weeks, sending me emails, telling me where I need to be and how to get there and everything else. But I'm proud to be part of this. I just want to say thank you to everybody again. I don't know if I'm closing this or not, but I think Jason's coming back. So thank you for being here. Enjoy the goodies when we're done. And I promise to try to talk to everybody. Thank you for this opportunity.